Mario Kart World is just over a month away, and while I've been making a lot of videos on the game, I'm starting to run out of ideas. Then I remembered my other ranking videos of this game have been doing well, so I figured why not keep milking the cow totes dry and rank every item that's in Mario Kart World. Now before you go down into the comments or make a reaction, with this track, I don't know, because it really wasn't a super interesting track in Mario Kart DS or Mario Kart Wii. There wasn't much to it besides a couple pokies here and there, and at least Mario Kart Wii, some hills to trick off of, and it had a couple sharp turns, but other than that, it wasn't super interesting.
I haven't had to say this in a while, guys. I haven't actually had to say this in a while. Can we say the phrase, gamers? The power of editing. Hang on. Can we hear that back again, chat? Hang on.
Wasn't much to it besides a couple pokies here and there.
Wow, amazing poke. Hang on. Where's the pokies? This is a pokey themed track. Where are the pokies?
And at least Mario Kart Wii, some hills to trick off of. And
where are the hills?
And say that, actually the game's not out, so you can't rank the items. Yes, I can, and yes, I will. Shut up. I didn't ask you, because we basically know what all these items do, because one, a lot of these items are returning items from past Mario Kart games, and there's no way they're going to function differently than they have before. And even for the new items that are in this game, we have enough information about them that we basically know how useful they're going to be. With that being said though, I'm the biggest nub on YouTube, Christendo, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it and subscribe to the channel as it helps me out a ton. Last video, we got a total of 0 new subscribers to the channel, so let's see if we can top that with this one. While you're at it, if you want to talk to me and others about all things Nintendo, consider joining the ChrisCore Discord server. The link is down in the description. Now let's get into the ranking of the items, starting off with the banana. When it comes to items that have triple counterparts, I'm just going to kind of do them together because they're essentially the same item. But for those of you that may not know for some reason what the banana does, it basically acts as a defensive item as well as a hazard that you can place on the road, where you can hold it behind you to defend yourself from shells or other items being thrown at you, as well as place it onto the track in order to make another opponent spin out. Obviously, the banana is one of the most useful items when you're in first place, where you want to have a defensive item at almost all times, as you want to be able to defend yourself and keep the distance between you and your opponents. So because of that, I think that the banana is an A tier item, where the triple banana is obviously better because you got 3 of them. It's not as common, but since it is a better item, and you want to have this more often than the single banana because it gives you 3 opportunities to protect yourself, this goes in the A tier above the single banana. On the other hand, the blooper is a pretty useless item. All it does is add ink to the screen of your opponent, and I think it maybe makes the road a little bit more slippery for them, but I don't remember if that's actually the case or not. But since it really doesn't do anything, especially to computer players, this is a practically useless item, because on top of that, if we're playing against real people, there's a good chance, unless it's their first time playing a track, they know the track layout, so this isn't going to do anything. So it's pretty useless. As I mentioned, I think this is a D tier. Next up, the Bob-omb is another pretty good item, because not only does it cause a pretty big explosion that has a pretty massive hitbox, it's also good for defense, because if you throw it behind you when there's an item coming towards you, on top of it protecting you, it also leaves an explosion behind you, making it so that if there's anyone behind you, they'll blow up and obviously spin out, so it'll help add some distance between the two of you. So because of that, I think that the Bob-omb is in the A tier, above the triple banana. The boomerang flower, which honestly I didn't realize was gonna be in this game until seeing some gameplay and looking at the Mario wiki. This one is probably one of the more not super useful projectile items. It allows you to throw 3 boomerangs, which is nice because you're able to throw it 3 times, either forward or backwards, where the last one will have it just going in a set path until it goes away or runs into a wall. While on the surface it does seem pretty useful, I think that the range of it just isn't super great for the first 2 hits. So you're not really going to be hitting anyone with it. And I feel like that if you get a projectile, you're going to want to get either a shell. So honestly, it's not a bad item. I just am not the hugest fan of it because there's other better items out there. But I'm going to put it in the B tier. It's probably going to be on the lower half of this tier, but it's not a bad item, but I would just much rather have literally any other projectile. The boo's also along the same lines of it has a use where if you're using it, you're able to steal items from other players, but at the same time, it's such a gamble on whether or not you're gonna get a good item when you're using the boo, because you can either get something great, like say a star or a golden mushroom on the rare chances that that happens, but you can also get something completely crap, especially since this is a middle of the pack item. You can get something like a coin or a banana, which is not going to be useful when you're in the middle of the pack. So it really has kind of a risk reward kind of thing to it, which makes it kind of fun. But at the same time, I don't see this being an item that you really want, because you're going to want to have an item that guarantees it'll help you out and not just something that is completely luck based. So because of that, while the Boo is a cool character, as an item, I think it's a C tier. The Bullet Bill, on the other hand, I think this is objectively the best item to get a boost in a race. If you're in the back, then the Bullet Bill is the best item you could possibly get. This item turns you obviously into a Bullet Bill and has you blasting through the competition and has you flying through the crowd, more than likely helping you gain a few number places. I don't think this is going to be a surprise to anyone. I think that the Bullet Bill is an S tier item. While it's not a useful item when you're at the front of the pack, if you're near the back of the pack, this is a really good item to have because, like I said, it gives you a huge boost, it helps you get back into the race, and it helps you gain ground where you'll essentially have a chance of recovering and possibly even winning a race. On the other hand, the next item is the coin box, and this item is gonna just toss a bunch of coins onto the track, and honestly, I would put this down in the D tier with the blooper. I don't think it's as useless as the blooper because at least you're getting coins, which will help make you go faster, but at the same time, it literally just gives you coins and nothing else. There's not much else to say about this item, and the same thing can be said about the coin item, which is essentially just the same thing as the coin box, but instead of it spitting out a bunch of coins, it only gives you 2 coins, so because of that, it's going to go behind the coin box. Next up is the red shell, and obviously its triple counterpart, and honestly, I gotta say this is probably one of the best items in the game. It doesn't give you a boost per se like the Bullet Bill does, but this item homes in on the person in front of you, and unless they have an item to protect themselves, it's guaranteed that you'll hit them and be able to have a possibility of passing them. I think that this goes up in the S tier right behind the Bullet Bill, but honestly, I'm gonna put the triple counterpart into the S tier in front of the Bullet Bill. It doesn't give you a boost, but this is essentially 3 times more powerful than the single red shell, giving you 3 different opportunities to hit 3 different people if you're lucky. And honestly, that's just kind of a game changer. It's obviously not broken, but it does give you a good chance of turning the tables against the competition. Next is the coin shell, which is the first of the original items to this game. You could say that the coin box is an original item, but it wasn't Mario Kart Tour. This is completely original to Mario Kart World though, and it essentially slides across the middle of the track, leaving a trail of coins behind it. And while it could be kind of useful, it's definitely the weakest of the shell items, where it doesn't have the impact of homing in on the person in front of you, as well as ricocheting off walls like the green shell does. So honestly, I'd say that this is probably the worst of the shell items, because honestly, outside of like giving yourself a couple coins, it's not super useful. So I'm gonna put it in the B tier behind the boomerang flower, because it does give you coins, which is kind of nice, and it also has the possibility of maybe hitting someone. They're in the middle of the road and in its path, but at the same time, I feel like that the boomerang flower is definitely a more reliable item, which is why it gets the edge over the coin shell. Our next item is the feather, which hasn't returned in a Mario Kart game, or at least the main versus mode of a Mario Kart game since Super Mario Kart. And this one is definitely going to be a super interesting item. What you're able to do with this item is get a little bit of a jump and boost, where it seems like you'll be able to avoid items that are coming your way. So say a red shell is coming after you, you can avoid it by using this item at the right time, as well as let you go onto paths that can't be reached otherwise. This definitely has a lot of shortcut potential, where there's going to be a lot of paths that you could take only with this item, which definitely boosts it in the ranking, because if it wasn't for that, this would probably be a C tier item. And add on to that, you're able to use this as a defensive item. It definitely boosts this item a lot. I'm gonna put it in the B tier above the boomerang flower, because this item has a lot of potential to be great and allow you to take great paths, as well as avoid items coming at you if you time it right. But I'm going to see this more in action before I put it up in the A tier with the more mainstay protective items. Next up is the next flower item, being the fire flower. And this lets you throw fireballs for a set amount of time, and it definitely has more potential of hitting someone over the boomerang flower. It's not as reliable as a shell though, as at the end of the day, you're kind of just spamming this item to try to hit someone, and it doesn't really spin anyone out for too long anyways. But I'm going to put it over the boomerang flower regardless, because I just feel like that objectively, it's a bit of a better item. There's just more opportunities to hit someone, and while they aren't spun out nearly as long, at the end of the day, you're still gonna have a better chance of hitting someone with this item over the boomerang flower. On the topic of spamming an item, next up is the golden mushroom, and this one is basically a mushroom on steroids where you're able to use it for around, I think, 10 seconds before it runs out. So like I said, you're going to be spamming this one to try to keep top speed as much as you can, and this is another one of those items where, just like the bullet bill, it definitely helps you make a comeback in a race. It's not as good as the bullet bill, unfortunately, in my opinion, because you're vulnerable when you're using this item, whereas with the bullet bill, you're invincible. But at the same time, this is still a great item. I think it's worthy of being in the S tier. I think I'm going to put it behind the red shell though, because I think that the red shell is a bit more useful because it's also a more common item to get, whereas the super mushroom is a useful item, don't get me wrong, but you're not really going to get it as often as the red shell, and because you don't get the invincibility like you do with the bullet bill, it just isn't on the same level in my opinion. Next up, we got the green shell, and this one is classic. As you probably know, this item essentially bounces off walls until it either breaks or hits someone, and I can't be the only one, but it is so satisfying to snipe someone with one of these. While it's not as reliable as the red shell, I think that this is objectively one of the best items you can get in first place, because not only do you have protection because you can hold this one behind you like it's a banana, but at the same time, if someone is like right behind you or just so happens to pass you and they're in the right angle to be hit, you could throw one of these at them and regain either your position or regain some of that distance between you and your opponent. Obviously, the triple counterpart is better. I think I'm going to put that above the bob-omb. And honestly, you know what? We're going to put the green shell above the bob-omb because I just think that this is a better item both defensively and offensively. On the other hand, we have the hammer, and I don't think this one's going to be bad per se because you could throw a bunch of hammers in front of you, maybe even behind you. We didn't get to see if it does that or not, but I just don't think that its range is super great. Based on what we see, it's not bad. You'd still be able to hit people that are in front of you, but especially compared to the shells, it's not nearly on the same level. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of the B tier between the boomerang flower and the golden shell because I think it has the edge over the golden shell, sorry, the coin shell, where it's able to be used offensively and maybe even defensively, but I feel like that the boomerang flower is still gonna be a little bit more reliable. We're finally on to the last of the flower items with the ice flower, and this one is essentially just a fire flower, but it also spins out your opponents and makes them slide as they are frozen, so they retain some of that momentum. So because of that, I think it's better than the fire flower. I still think that the feather is a bit better because obviously the feather is better than the fire flower, and this is basically the fire flower but with a little bit more use. So because of that, I'm going to put it between the feather and the fire flower in the B tier. The Kamek item is next, and yes, it's called Kamek. It's unfortunate that this poor guy went from a racer in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the booster course pass to becoming an item, but I digress. And this item seems to transform your opponents into other characters and adds those characters that they transform into onto the stage as stage hazards. This item is really confusing. I really don't know what it does yet, so obviously we can't really give it a definitive ranking yet, but it kind of seems to just add hazards onto the road, and that's not really gonna help you that much. So at the end of the day, I think that this is going to be a C tier item below the boo. The shock, on the other hand, this item is probably the most infamous item in Mario Kart history, but this item is powerful. If for some reason you don't know, this item shrinks everyone, making them go slower, obviously, and also makes them lose all their items, which is really annoying if you're a person that just got an item and then a shock happens out of nowhere. So because of how powerful it is and just how useful it is if you're in the back end of the crowd, I think this is an S tier item. I'm going to put it behind the red shell though and in front of the bullet bill because while this is helpful, it's only going to be really helpful for you if you're at the back of the pack, whereas I think that the triple red shell is just useful everywhere. So I think that because of that, it's objectively probably the best item in the entire game. We get the Mega Mushroom next, and it finally returns after being absent since Mario Kart Wii outside of Mario Kart Tour, and it essentially acts the same as it did there, where it makes you bigger, makes you go a little bit faster, and I think maybe even unaffected by lightning, which is kind of nice, but at the same time, it really does just make you bigger, and I guess makes you invincible, which is kind of nice, but it's not the most useful in terms of those defensive invincibility items. So because of that, I think it's going to go at the top of the B tier in front of the feather because it definitely has some pretty good uses, but compared to other items, it's just not going to be as useful because much like the bullet bill or the star, it's on a set timer. So once it's gone, and you can't really do anything about that. The next set of items is the mushroom and the triple mushroom, and these are probably the most straightforward item in the game. They just give you a boost, and these are super useful. I'm gonna put the normal mushroom in the A tier between the green shell and the triple green shell, and I'm gonna put the triple mushroom at the top of A tier in front of the green shell, because I just feel like that as items, these two are better because they allow you to take shortcuts. They may not defend you, but they allow you to regain your speed after you get hit. And I just feel like that speed is overall more important in Mario Kart because you can have as many items as you want to defend yourself, but if you don't have a way to regain your speed if you lose all of it, you're kind of back to square one and have to regain all that speed again. So because of that, I think they're objectively better than the green shells. Next is the dash food bag, and this is essentially just a mushroom where it'll give you a speed boost, but if you're using a character that has a costume, it'll change them into one of the said costumes. But I just don't see why you would want this over a normal mushroom because it's literally just a reskin mushroom. It's not that useful because it's purely just cosmetic where it'll just change you into a costume. And if you're playing as a character that has no costumes, this is literally just a speed boost. So I don't really see a reason to want this item because yes, it gives you a boost, but at the same time, I would much rather have just a mushroom. So because of that, we'll put it in the C tier between Kamek and Boo because it feels a little bit more useful than Kamek, but I think that Boo is just a more well-designed item because he's designed as an actual item, whereas this is just used as a way to get costumes. That's basically it. Next is the other most infamous Mario Kart item, being the blue shell or the Spiny Shell. And this one, it's kinda useful, I guess, where if you throw it and there's people in the path of it when it's going up to first place, they might spin out. But at the same time, this is essentially just a way to punish first place, and it doesn't really do much outside of that. So because of the fact that it doesn't help you out specifically, and instead just kind of helps out whoever's in second place more than it helps out you, I'm gonna put this in the B tier. I think it goes between the Mega Mushroom and the Feather because, like I said, it can help you out, but at the same time, it's not going to really help you out specifically because it's more designed just to punish first place instead of punish the person in front of you. On the other hand, the Super Horn is probably one of the greatest Mario Kart items to have ever been created. For all these years, we were stuck with having no way of defending ourselves against a Spiny Shell, but then Mario Kart 8 came around and we finally had that way. The Super Horn lets you destroy items that are coming towards you, including the blue shell. That's the big thing about this item. The fact that we have an item that can destroy what is the most annoying item when you're in first place is a game changer. Because of that, I think that this belongs in the S tier between Bullet Bill and the Lightning Bolt. And our last item for this video is of course the star. Probably one of the most iconic items in Mario Kart outside of probably the blue shell. This turns you rainbow and makes you invincible for a set period of time, and it gives you a little bit of a speed boost. It's not a really noticeable speed boost because when I have it and I'm playing against people online, I'm not going to notice that speed boost as much, but it does give you a speed boost nonetheless. So while it's not as much of a boost as say a golden mushroom, it does make you invincible, which definitely puts it above the golden mushroom for me. And I'd say it goes above the red shell as well because the red shell is great for offense, but this is probably the best mid-range item for defense because you're able to dodge shocks, you're able to dodge items coming at you, and you're invincible for a good bit of time. So because of that, I think that in the S tier between Bullet Bill and Red Shell is a great place for it. And there we have it. That's my ranking of all the items in Mario Kart World. Are you mad that I didn't put the blooper in the S tier, even though that's the best Mario Kart item ever? Let me know that my ranking sucks down in the comments. And while you're at it, tell me what item you think is going to be the best in Mario Kart World. That's all I really have for this video, but if you want to see another video by me, there's a video on screen now where I talk about how we could possibly get 2 3D Marios on Nintendo Switch 2, and I think you'll enjoy that video. With that being said, I'm the biggest gnome on YouTube, Chris, signing off, and as always, goodbye, Gnome Nation.